Welcome to the Global Intelligence Briefing, where we will track the critical reports for the third week of August 1721. Our primary dispatch today comes from the front page of the American Weekly Mercury, covering the reports compiled up to Thursday, August 24th. For a colonial reader, this document outlines a reality defined by overlapping existential threats. It tracks the real-time spread of biological plagues, geopolitical invasions, and absolute maritime lawlessness. The dispatches arriving in Philadelphia this week are dominated by these hazards. We are tracking a severe plague in the Mediterranean, strict infection protocols in London, and pirate attacks right off the American coast. This intelligence was required for basic survival. In an era where information traveled only as fast as a ship's sail, knowing the exact coordinates of a viral outbreak or a hostile fleet was the only way to avoid sailing straight into your own death. We begin with the medical crisis in southern France. Dispatches from Toulon confirm the plague increases there every day. The city's infrastructure has collapsed. The population is isolated and in the utmost want of food and physic, meaning basic medicine is gone. Neighboring Marseille shows a clear picture of the crisis. Thousands of bodies line the streets because the mortality rate has outpaced the labor force. In response, the French state deploys absolute containment measures. The Duke of Roquelaire ordered an infected village burnt to the ground. Similarly, Britain's Admiralty ordered ships arriving from infected zones to be immediately burnt or sunk with their entire cargoes. The perimeter around infection zones is heavily militarized. A wealthy farmer who attempted to pass the barrier without permission was immediately shot to death, despite offering guards 10,000 livres to spare his life. The message from the continent is clear. Biological containment supersedes all other laws. The preservation of the state economy and public health outweighs any individual's life, regardless of their personal wealth. Shifting to military intelligence, the Baltic region is rapidly destabilizing. Russian, or Muscovite forces, are actively pushing into Swedish territory. Prince Golitsyn has landed a force of 18,000 men. They are executing a scorched-earth campaign, having burned towns and ravaged a massive tract of land. The dispatches note that the defending Swedish army is entirely unable to prevent these descents or halt the destruction of their infrastructure. While foreign armies burn towns abroad, the British state applies similar absolute control domestically. A London printer named Mr. Mist is imprisoned in Newgate. He is shut off from his trade, strictly forbidden the use of pen, ink, and paper. Whether facing an invading army of 18,000 men or a single dissenting publisher, the 18th century state responds with overwhelming, unyielding force to neutralize perceived threats. On the continent, we see small shifts in ideological control. A large number of French Protestants, previously imprisoned simply for worshipping according to their own consciences, have been discharged. Yet in London, an official order of council has just been published directing bishops to enforce the purity of the Christian faith, specifically regarding doctrines of the Holy Trinity. Amidst mass death, the paper highlights an anomaly: a London woman verified to be 120 years old in perfect health. Her longevity has a specific strategy. She completely avoided 18th century medical practices, never taking physic nor letting doctors bleed her. Her survival is such a rare event that she was carried directly to St. James's Palace to be received by the king himself. For readers accustomed to weekly reports of plague and executions, a story of a woman outliving 15 of her own children without medical intervention offered a rare document of biological endurance. Closer to home, coastal waters remain an active war zone. The Queen Anne galley limped into port with severe damage. Intercepted by a 90-ton pirate ship, the pirates plundered the cargo, cut down her main mast, and cast it into the sea. Further south, near the Capes of Virginia, a 16-gun Spanish pirate galley captured another English vessel, operating completely unchecked in colonial shipping lanes. The captured crew was handled ruthlessly. Key personnel, including the chief mate, carpenter, and specific passengers, were forcibly conscripted to serve on the pirate galley. But the most lethal dispatch details an unnamed English ship that attempted to fight back. After a grueling 2-hour battle at sea, they were forced to surrender. The pirates, enraged by the resistance and the loss of their own men, enacted immediate and brutal retaliation upon boarding. The dispatch reads, "They immediately hanged up 16 of said ship's company at the yardarm." The Atlantic trade routes were highly lucrative, but they required merchants to operate in a void. Out on the water, there was no state protection, only heavily armed predators operating entirely outside the law. These 4 pages encapsulate the stark reality of August 1721. It is a world sharply divided between the absolute authority of the European state and the violent anarchy of the open ocean. From a deadly outbreak in Marseille to a mass hanging off the American coast, this newspaper consolidated planetary intelligence into a single, localized warning system. To live and trade in this era meant navigating a razor-thin margin of safety. You existed under a government willing to burn your village to the ground to protect the kingdom, while trying to survive an ocean willing to kill you for a few crates of goods. For the colonial reader, purchasing this paper provided the data needed to calculate those risks. It functioned as a vital manual for survival.
The Daily Dispatch, history in print.